The Halo universe is filled with wonder, mystery, and fascinating discoveries around every corner. With so much to explore, four friends decided it was about time that they boot up their consoles and discuss this universe that has grabbed their attention since childhood. JumperScape Audio kindly welcomes you to join them in the library.
Well, good job to you. You made it to another episode of the library. You've gotten down pretty far into this thing. Should I start acting like this is like they're going into the library and they're exploring it and actively being chased by Flood, or should I just...
I mean, if you want to be a nerd.
But that's...
Got him.
I mean, that's what I am, so like,
yeah,
you
so
can't
can
be
do
mad at me for being a man.
I'm not mad
So
at you.
yeah, you can...
I'm just disappointed.
How are you guys doing on this fine evening?
I'm fantastic. How about
good.
you?
I'm pretty good. I got a sandwich.
I am good. Shut up.
All right.
Shane, you asked me how I'm doing.
Yeah, sure.
I am
did.
doing. So, today on the library, in the library, based upon the library, our topic of discussion is the freaking Banished.
Nice.
I'm excited about this one because I think, first of all, you guys know a lot more about the Banished. And second of all, I found some really fun little quirky facts about the Banished and its origin. Although I will point out, I am probably not going to bring up Escharum aside from right now, the entire episode, because he just kind of appeared in Halo Infinite and there's no background behind his appearance. So aside from him showing up in a book at one point, there's really nothing that actually like sets him up as being an origin point for the Banished. Not that it really makes sense either. So if you want to hear that conversation, though, head over to our Patreon, because Terminals episode 1, we talk a little bit about the story currently and how it's being all set up. It's definitely not just an hour long of us talking about our opinions on the current state of Halo. So as we're going into this, though, it should be noted that the focus will be entirely on the Banished. Talking about Atriox is going to be sort of a bullet point. We don't have an episode on the list that is going to be going into Atriox specifically, mostly because his story is very much still being told. There's still a lot to explore with his character. We know his origin point. We know what his goals are, kind of. And now we're kind of just waiting to see what will come next if Halo ever gets another sequel. So... with that in mind, I'll just kick it off right off the bat. Pop quiz. Where did we first see the Banished officially?
Halo Wars 2. I was first.
Shane, would you like to answer?
Yes, I will say Halo Wars 2, unless we're counting books, but I'm pretty sure
Shane
it's still
got it
Halo Wars
right.
2.
Oh my gosh, guys. Good job, Shane.
Aww.
It was Halo Wars 2.
Let's say, to my knowledge, it was Halo Wars 2, unless there was some random shit in a book about it beforehand.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't a random book thing. It brought up in Halo Wars 2, a complete just bombshell of a plot line that came out of nowhere and was super interesting right from the get-go.
I need to play Halo Wars 2 again. I honestly meant to play it in between, like the last time we did one of these and this one, and I completely forgot because I barely remember Halo Wars 2.
I mean, I openly invite you to play it while we're talking about this one if you really want to.
All right,
it's so much fun.
Like he needs an invitation.
So with the Banished, their origin is pretty simple. Their concept is pretty simple. It's basically the concept of a bunch of outcasts and outliers across various empires, particularly the Covenant and the humans. Decided, hey, we're tired of being pushed around all the time and being basically just fodder. So we're going to develop our own faction that is using the scraps of the war that is happening around us. And it should be noted, the Banished does actually have access to human forces. There are quite a few humans that are actually in the Banished, and that's how they are able to access a lot of Forerunner tech and figure out how to reverse engineer a lot of the Covenant stuff. Because if you remember our conversation with the Covenant, they are not that intelligent. They required quite a bit of help from Huragog and stuff to repurpose old Forerunner tech. So humans were invaluable to the Banished. Now, with Atriox's origin story, would anyone like to take up the mantle of telling Atriox's story that we saw in Halo Wars 2?
Hammer.
Okay. Would anyone else like to tell this story of Atriox's origin story?
From what I remember, as far as he goes, he was, part of the Covenant, and then it just shit went south, and he didn't like how he was being treated, more or less, and started his own faction and broke away from the Covenant. And as the years went on, more and more joined him.
That is very true. James, I'm sure you already know about this one. Do you know who in particular, not like a character, but the species, who in particular Atriox was a slave to?
A species?
He was, yeah.
Well, it's Sangheli, I would imagine.
He was. That was the unfortunate part. The Sangheli actually, like, Atriox and his men were considered slaves, and the Sangheli would use them as
natural selection, baby.
So the details of that story are fascinating. There are a couple bits and pieces that you can get from different novels of how his story was told. Technically, there might be something that could be referenced back to Atriox's first appearance in a novel, Operation Silent Storm, which is a fantastic novel. Highly recommended. It's fantastic. But his real story started with the explanation from Halo Wars 2, where we see that Atriox was sent out time and time and time again. Every time he came back, but all of his brothers were dead. And eventually his anger and hatred for the Covenant grew, and so the elites were like, this guy's got to go. And Atriox, being awesome, starts a whole uprising during his execution, which results in the Banished starts. I mean, that's that's what I do. That's I would do the same thing. So, and it should be noted, the weapon that was going to be used to execute Atriox was the Blood Blade, which can be found in Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer, the red energy sword. Also fun to note, I'm going to probably have to fix this later because I just noticed this. There is a typo in Halo Waypoint. Bless you. There is a typo on Halo Waypoint, not Waypoint, Halopedia regarding this execution, which was in preparation to execute the heretic. Itho Hesiki ignited his blood bade.
His blood bade.
His blood bade. Not the blood bade.
So I'm going to be probably editing that for them on their behalf. But
hey,
now
blood babe, how
their
you doing?
mistake will be here. I hate that. It will be here forever for them to see. Now,
Please
the interesting thing about...
fix it to blood blade. Please fix it to blood babe.
Okay, I'll keep it.
I'll keep
so
it.
The fascinating part about the Banished's origin is the last battle that I'm aware of that Atriox took part in, that final battle when he came back, that he started this whole uprising. So the fascinating thing, do you guys know Halo Legends?
A little bit.
Not quite.
This guy.
Okay, this guy. So Halo Legends is a collection of short films made by various anime studios in Japan.
Oh wait, is that the same? This might be completely wrong, but oh well if it's not. Is that the one who did the Headhunter animation?
I don't know if it was the same company. I think that was a different one, but because like Headhunters was years after Halo Legends.
Okay, well, like I said, it could have been completely wrong, but I
really don't know.
On track.
I don't know who produced them, but Halo Legends was a collection of short films, a varying degree of cool, with only one of them declared to be completely non-canon, which is the one about 1337, Spartan 1337, which the reason why you can automatically tell that that's a meme and not really canon is 1337 is leet speak. So that's like OG back whenever MLG memes were a thing. That's what that lead thing is for.
Simpler times.
I love Spartan 1337. He's hilarious, and the fight that he has with that giant brute is just awesome. So there's a specific short film in that collection called Prototype, which has this Marine sergeant nicknamed Ghost putting on one of the original prototype combat suits that would eventually turn into Mjolnir armor in order to save as many men as he possibly could during this massive fight, which eventually costs his life. But he did kill pretty much every Covenant in the area during that fight. Now, that fight was more than just one weapons research facility under attack. Like, the whole planet was under attack. And Atriox was on that planet taking part in that battle. So that whole situation was basically where Atriox came back from. Everyone died, he didn't. So that's the fascinating part, is that they actually created some form of connective tissue that connected him somewhat. So that stuff is fantastic. Also, the Prophet of Truth is the one that ordered Atriox's execution. So we also got a little bit of an early reference to how Prophet of Truth was not very interested in these quote-unquote heretics that were not interested in the Great Journey.
How can someone named Truth be such a bullshitter?
Oh gosh, can we reference Halo dubs more?
By all means, it's fine with me.
I love that show so much, and I understand why it can't come back, because it's really difficult to make dub episodes of the future games because those games don't have nearly as long cutscenes. First of all, I remember that he did the Halo 3 one, but the Halo 3 one didn't last nearly as long because there's 10 minutes of cutscene.
So two things about Truth real quick.
Sure.
I will say he has a good track record for sussing out when a certain faction is about to start to split from the Covenant and want to go their own way.
Get common sense.
He has a bad track record for turning those factions into a big problem for the Covenant.
I mean, for real, the fact that the Banished are described to be basically the biggest threat that the Covenant had faced is just ridiculous to me. But then again, their numbers were quick. Like, they grew super fast because they were picking up all sorts of different kinds of mercenaries, and pretty much anyone in the Covenant that was like, I'm tired of this, they would just join the Banished.
Humanity, then they almost got us.
I'm also
but the Banished, they never got close. Isn't that what she says? Something like that.
Very, very, very close, yeah.
I'm also a big fan of Atriox's backstory and how it makes sense that, one, he's so good, and two, he's looked up to as a leader, because if he survives all those battles as sort of the underdog, that pushes him up in the limelight so much. And it also makes it make sense why he's such a good fighter. So I'm a big fan of how that backstory is done, and the cutscenes are beautiful.
I know, I need more of him, dude. Like, that was the major thing that I was like, oh, I'm glad that you're in here, Atriox, for Halo Infinite, but man, I really wish that you weren't only a threat in the opening cutscene.
Yeah.
Because I just love him. I really like this concept of him as the big bad, since we didn't get the Didact. Halo needs a big bad, and Atriox fits the bill. So I need more of him.
And we've seen him tear apart these very highly placed Spartans.
Yeah.
Which is
Spartan 2s.
Yeah, the Spartan 2s, which is insane.
He's also the first ever thing that I've seen at least like completely manhandle Master Chief like he's a ragdoll.
Just fucking threw him.
When I played the campaign with my younger brother, and that opening cutscene, he's like, "Oh, the Chief is just gonna kick everyone's ass on the ship and then drop down on the ring, just like in CE." Nope, here comes this giant oversized monkey with a weird looking arm and just completely manhandles him.
It's brutal.
I very much hope that if they do bring back Atriox as the main bad guy, and we end up having a classic boss battle with him, I very much hope they find a way to do that justice.
I don't want them to kill him off anytime soon.
No, the dude's got to stay. He's so cool. I love him.
No, I do not want them to. I do not. Maybe that's why they gave Escharum the boot so quick. Hopefully, like, it's just setting up a longer
I'm hoping that's
conflict with. I mean, I'd imagine. I mean, the post-credit scene of Infinite tells me that that's clearly what they're going for, but who knows what the fuck they're going for these days?
Yeah. The Banished, after they were formed, though, aside from Atriox and his specific rising, it was actually kind of fascinating because in their early stages, they were often compared to the Juralhane that were led by Tartarus, which was like Halo 2 stuff. But Atriox was very much clear. He's like, we're very much different from him. There's no comparison that you can make between us. Because, you know, Tartarus, while he was strong and his brutes were ridiculously powerful, they were blinded by the Covenant. But the Banished were strong and not blinded by anything. They just wanted to have power in order to... It was sort of like a self-righteous thing that they were trying to pull off, but it was somewhat justified. They were basically survivors, and they were trying to making their way through the galaxy as best as they could. So Atriox being this leader that is representing freedom more than anything else was that's the big deal, is that they're fighting for something that they think is going to ensure their freedom. Hence why they're trying to control the Ark. Hence why they're trying to fight the humans, because they're like, we fought the Covenant, we beat the Covenant, we're not under their rule anymore. You think you can take the control of the galaxy. We're not letting that happen, because we're not letting anybody control us anymore. So the Banished have a very good reason to fight the humans. It's just never made clear.
And also the fact that the Covenant steamrolled us, and if it wasn't for the big guy in the green suit, they would have. Mm-hmm. And Cortana, like, they would have took our fucking lunch money. And the Banished is like, well, we kicked the Covenant's ass during the height of their power. Why can't we just, kill the humans? Why can't we defeat humanity? And they can. I mean, they have too.
It's tough.
Quick question, because I had forgotten that it was a possibility. I finished Halo 3 recently, and whenever they, spoiler alert if anyone hasn't finished Halo 3, whenever they destroy that ring that the Ark creates at the end, Guilty Spark is worried about the ring destroying the Ark, but obviously it doesn't completely destroy the Ark. What was the damage to the Ark once the ring was destroyed? Like, was it substantial at all?
It was. It affected the thing's foundry, and it also, the High Charity was stuck in the center of the Ark, so like that last ring, I'm fairly certain, is the last ring the Ark will ever make.
Okay, so it ruined its ability to make more.
As far as I'm aware,
as far as we know,
because we don't really know all of the damage that has been done to the Ark.
Yeah,
but we do know that. That was a pretty large explosion. A lot of the Arks, like a lot of the stuff that happens with the Ark. It's Forerunner architecture, so it's able to take a hit. But the Ark, as well as the Halo rings, the Ark as well as the Halo rings were they were. I don't want to say they were designed to be, but they were fragile. From the very beginning, the builders knew that. That's why they made the Halos smaller. They went from 30,000 kilometers to 10,000 kilometers, because they were like,
just if we turn this adjustment.
If we turn this thing too fast, it will split apart. Yeah. So the Ark did take damage, and it is definitely it's definitely affecting its ability to do the thing that it normally does actually well. Okay. But it's not something that's really important, I guess, at this moment, because the Ark has already fulfilled its plot element, I guess. So at this point, it's just, here's this final Halo ring, and that's all we really got. Because aside from that, the Ark can obviously still open portals. It can still control a great deal of Forerunner architecture and design, but it's ultimately right now just a central control hub.
Yeah.
Which that's all it really needs to be. And of course now there's the problem of it being definitely overrun by flood, but
slight issue.
Yeah.
A smishu, if you will.
A smishu.
I hate the fact that joke is sticking.
I'm so glad.
Do. It's the fact that it's sticking is actually making me sad.
Yeah, give me one
Brian,
joke.
Michael, whoever you are.
Yeah, you can refer to him as any of the following names.
Jamal, Michael, Bryant, Brent, dumbass. It's all love. I didn't mean it.
That last bit is on the legal papers.
It is.
That was actually all one name.
So, as for where we are right now, because there's obviously we don't have a lot in terms of history for the Banished, aside from we know, like Covenant, we beat Covenant, yay.
Yeah.
Currently, the most recent escapades of the Banished involve, they released the Flood into the Ark, and I mean, they did a pretty darn good job fighting them off. I was actually kind of surprised at how effective they were at fighting the Flood. A lot of them had fought it in the past because of the Flood's appearance and stuff, but mostly it was just Atriox that knew about it, and hence why Atriox is rather vague.
Not to go inside.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that cutscene is so sick.
But also, it also helps that they have like a bunch of plasma weapons and all the glassing beams just ready to go.
And armor. Their armor is definitely helping them get them little tentacles in their veins and vital organs. That stuff is what's really giving them the edge. But the fact that they were able to even fight off a massive biomass within like a day of the Flood surrounding the whole Ark was impressive. Their power is ridiculous. But upon that, after their hopefully containment of that whole thing, I think they were able to contain it eventually. I don't actually remember that DLC very well, so I don't remember what happened after they cleared the entire site. But the Banished were able to open up a portal from the Ark back to the Milky Way, because the Ark is not even in our galaxy. And when they do that, that's when they go to Reach. I don't really remember entirely why they were on Reach. Let me see if I can actually look at that one, because like I know why the humans were on Reach. They were trying to find a remnant copy of Cortana, basically, or like her sister, more like there was a design for Cortana.
They were looking for Halsey's brain, I believe, her Flash clone brain.
Ugh.
Another?
I read that book.
Which book?
We need to get. I'm so disappointed that we didn't get like any like Reach for like gameplay about that. I mean, I know there was a book, but like why put it in a book? Just let us play it. Do you know how much the fans would have appreciated that, being able to go to Reach for something like that?
I mean, I would have been happy to have a game that takes place during the created in general. That would have been cool instead of being there right when it ends.
Because the thing that was really unfortunate about that book
at some point, but.
The thing that was really unfortunate about that book is you're in the world of Cortana in control, and like the level of fear that all the characters have, like they won't even speak her name, was awesome. And it got me like, oh, maybe this could actually work, like maybe this will actually be kind of cool. And then, but nope, doesn't matter.
And which book was this?
Shadows of Reach.
Shadows of Reach.
The only Halo book I have ever read.
Oh wow.
It's a good book to pick.
I will listen to that.
Would have rather it been a game.
Yeah, basically the whole objective of the humans on Reach was to return and search Halsey's lab to see if anything survived the base's destruction. There wasn't anything in particular they were after, but they knew there were certain things in that lab that could help them, and they found them.
If you're a citizen on Reach at that point, you should just know to leave at this point, because everything just goes bad.
It should be noted, though, the things that they found on Reach led to the weapons development. So what they found was effectively what they needed to defeat Cortana, which was just another Cortana. So the Banished were there. I don't really know why they were there. I'm kind of looking at Halopedia right now to see if there's anything that, aside from the fact that they were meeting the Keepers of the One Freedom there, which is another faction, I think it's something about they were using it as a staging ground for negotiations or something, diplomacy. That's pretty much all I know. But aside from that, after those events of Shadows of Reach, we jump immediately to the occupation of Zeta, Halo, and Halo Infinite. Which a lot of the occupation is going to end up taking place in the books, because we skip 6 months in Halo Infinite. If
you'll refresh my memory real quick, because I only played Halo Infinite once, and also did Zeta Halo appear in Halo Wars 2?
In Halo Wars 2, no.
Okay, so yeah, please refresh my memory. Why is Zeta Halo important?
Zeta Halo is the oldest Halo ring and the only one of the 7 Halo rings that is the original 30,000 kilometer design.
Okay.
And it has a bunch of like stuff on it that they don't fully understand. That's probably going to be like used as like a plot element, like time travel. That's heavily hinted at in Halo Infinite.
Yeah, it's in the wise words of Joseph Staten when he was showing off the Halo ring during the campaign presentation. The oldest and most mysterious ring.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, it is wild. After spending a lot of time just exploring it, trying to search every single crack and crevice, there's a lot of stuff in there that I can explain. I'm looking around at some of the stuff and I'm like, yep, that's that.
It's interesting.
Don't know what that's called, but it's there.
It's interesting that it's the oldest, but it seems unfinished. Like there's a lot of gaps and stuff.
Well,
I'm
my friend,
sure
do you remember
it being unfinished?
No, it's not that. Do you guys remember what happened in the campaign?
Which part?
Well, I mean, yeah, but like, yeah,
okay.
like, what are you
Spoiler
hinting
alert:
at?
Cortana just self-destructed herself, and the explosion was what ripped a hole in the ring.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Oh,
no,
okay.
I gotcha.
I completely forgot that part.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure it was the pilot that even said something about it looking unfinished.
that was the thing. So basically, if just to this is good because this is actually part of the story. Following the occupation of the ring and all of that, Atriox confronts Cortana directly. He is not afraid of her, which of course is just like, thank you, Atriox, for continuing to just be so cool.
Yeah.
He's confronting her because he refuses to bow down to the created, and of course Cortana is mad about that. So reasonably so, and with diplomacy in mind, she blows up the Brute homeworld.
And with diplomacy in mind, and peace as a priority, she fucking bombs the shit.
Uses just a bunch of Guardians to Death Star this thing.
For the sake of peace, genocide.
And of course, Atriox,
Peace cannot be
in the
attained without
cool way
violence.
that he normally does stuff, he just watches it happen, unflinching.
Like, that kind of hurts.
He's
but,
like,
you know,
you will pay for
resolve?
he just stares, and he knows he's going to get revenge, and he does. Through the events that happen, Cortana, she realizes what she's done. She starts to kind of gain lucidity after doing all these horrible things, and so as a final act of hopefully making things right, she decides to destroy herself and everything around her, which I guess was not entirely the intention, but powerful AI that is now in a physical form, who knows what's packing energy in that thing. So when she died, that resulting explosion tore a massive hole in the ring.
Hey there, Halo fans. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with our friends right after these messages.
That'll do it.
Yep. So
it sure will.
yeah, the ring has just kind of been floating around this whole time. It's been fine. And then, one blue lady shows up, and now there's a giant hole or something.
Oh, wow, how'd that get there?
So, yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the story of the Banished so far. After we've gotten the ring destroyed, there's not much else that we can really reference to. Just because from there, all we know is that at some point Atriox somehow survived that destruction of Cortana.
Somehow Atriox survived.
Exactly. Which, like, you know what? He's so cool. I'm cool with just sitting back and letting there be a Sergeant Johnson answer for him surviving that explosion.
Yeah, Sergeant Johnson got it once. Atriox can get it too.
Exactly. We everyone gets one. So, Atriox is alive now. And this is when we start to understand that there are Banished affiliated human mercenary groups, primarily on New Mombasa, which is fascinating. And so now they're starting to do things like create shipyards in abandoned UNSC fleet depots and all of that. They're doing some crazy stuff. So now the created, left without a leader, the Banished just rush the galaxy, and they now have filled that power vacuum.
The Banished.
So, with that done, though, it's unsure what's gonna. It's uncertain what's gonna happen next now, because the created have little to no power. There have been some stories recently, especially regarding, if you guys remember him from Halo 5, Governor Sloan.
I remember him.
I do remember him.
Yep.
Yeah, he actually got a promotion from Cortana because of how loyal he was. Let me actually see if I can find
President
his current rank.
Sloan.
President Sloan.
God Emperor Sloan.
Let me see if I can actually find anything about this, because he does get a pretty neato position within the created. Like, as soon as he was repaired by the domain, he became quite a character. Which I think these are all going into, these are somewhat novel related. Yeah, there's a whole novel related to it, which I really want to read that novel. Retribution just looks awesome. Because Retribution, just to give a little bit and why it's so cool, homicide detective turned Oni operative and a young team of Spartan 3s work with a infamous brute who leads the Keepers of the One Freedom. And it's their mission is to find some secret research station, and dude, it's so cool. It's so neat.
Anything with Oni is very interesting.
They're so fascinating. It doesn't matter how horrible they are sometimes.
I mean, it matters, but
yeah,
it matters, but it's still cool.
So, So, this current event that's happening with Halo Infinite, with this whole new thing of this banished AI that's about to start infecting Spartans.
Yes. Yeah, the event.
Yeah,
I guess, if you want to put it that way.
So the firewall contingency, that's what the whole event is named after. Sloan developed the firewall contingency, so he's still involved. That's the one thing that I really can't put against 343 is that they put in a lot of effort to connect dots. Because it's like, who would develop the firewall contingency? Well, one of the leading guys in the created who was a big proponent for Cortana's rule. That makes sense. A character that we know that would definitely be able to just go and do that. Great. Love it. But, putting all of that aside with the created and stuff, there's not much else that happened after that. Banished just filled that void in the galaxy, and now humans are once again on the back foot. And they have to try to find a way to take down Atriox and his rule, but that's going to be very difficult when you just lost your flagship and they know where your house is.
Open the door.
It's like you get a text from Atriox and it's just like, I know where you live and I'm rapidly approaching.
That's terrifying. Okay. Get a text from Atriox, open the door.
Open the door.
Open the door. So Atriox and the Banished, now that we got their story taken care of, just a little bit of explanation. This will probably be a shorter episode than most, so apologies for that, but Banished's story is shorter than most. So with that all addressed, Banished and Atriox, their whole setup, the way that their society works is actually kind of interesting. Because first of all, it's a military hierarchy. So, Atriox is the top of the food chain, and anyone underneath him, you respect them, but you have to also be aware that your leadership could change at any time. Atriox was not known for killing his underlings, but he always could. There were an inner circle of chieftains that were called the Atriox's Chosen, and they pretty much were just used as a way to enforce compliance among the higher ranks, according to Halopedia. And so with them being all focused on strength and practicality and stuff, they weren't really ones to follow any form of the past Covenant's interest in things that were of faith and religion and all of that. No interest in that whatsoever. They pretty much just wanted a way to grab power. They wanted to prove that even the smallest of the galaxy could rise to a very large occasion, such as in the case of how their emphasis on taking species like Ungoi and humans and putting them into places of high power didn't result in anything bad. Because there were quite a few grunts, for example, that would actually ascend to pretty high ranks, lest we forget Yap Yap the Destroyer.
I try to sometimes.
Dude, I love Yap Yap so much. He's such a funny concept. Yap Yap the Destroyer is up there. There are some jackals that rose to really high ranks. There's Sankhili, there's brutes. They don't discriminate. You can raise to a very high rank rather quickly in the Banished, so long as you're trusted by Atriox and it's clear that your intentions are for your men or creatures.
Yeah, don't you remember that high value target jackal that you can just one shot in Halo Infinite?
Now, I didn't say that they were strong.
I mean, sometimes it just made sense.
Yeah,
for that, like the jackal. I mean, I guess they could have gave him a shield, but I mean, like an actual shield, not like one of the ones jackals carry around. But I don't think the player base would have reacted too kindly to a jackal having like some type of overshield or something.
Yeah. Now, this system isn't perfect, though, of course. There's still moments where in the Banished, elites and brutes will still fight each other from time to time, and the brutes still occasionally will treat the grunts as inferior on all accounts. But
checks out, as one does.
Their forces, though, are ridiculous. They have a incredible amount of firepower at their disposal, especially now that they have access to high charity. First of all, when you have Silent Shadow on your side, you're pretty much safe and secure at all times, because those dudes are ridiculous. Hire out a couple shipmasters and get their cruisers and stuff. Doesn't matter how many you get destroyed, you still got more on the back burner, so that was no longer a problem. Ally with some of the insurrectionist forces, and you've got yourself a ticket into all of human space. And then probably some of the most important stuff would be things such as when they got an alliance with the Legolo, the Hunter Worms, and now the Hunter Worms just power most of Banished technology. So their alliances with all these different species is what makes them really, really dangerous. And now, of course, the Endless is supposedly aiding the Banished. But who knows? Technically, going back to our conversation in terminals. So anyway, with the skimmers, they were.
Oh my god! We went on like an hour-long we started talking about the skimmers, and oh my god, we went on an hour-long tangent about the state of Halo, and then you're like, all right, well, anyway, back to the skimmers. It was a mental flashbang.
It was so fun to listen to again.
Oh my gosh.
So the skimmers, though, they were under the command of the Harbinger. They were technically, I guess, without knowing anything about the Endless or understanding quite what they are, my best guess is that the skimmers were some sort of servants. Like, that's my best understanding. Because, the Harbinger is one of the Endless. That's her species. Although the actual species name, because, we don't ever refer to species as their real species name until you learn it. I think the way you say the name is Zalanin, like Zalanin or something, or Zalanin.
Sounds like a medicine I should be allergic to.
If your loved one took Zalanin,
you may be entitled to financial compensation.
God, I was gonna say it.
I got there first.
Damn it.
But yeah, it's XALANY.
I got in the Discord
so
first.
I think that's how you should pronounce it. It's just Zalalin or Zalalin, one of those two.
Amoxicillin.
It sounds honestly like it does sound like a pretty Halo species name, so I'm cool with that.
I hope we know that now whenever we get to any point that has to do with them in a game, like if they actually bring them back in the future, which they should, I will just be calling them different medications. And I work for a pharmacy, so I have plenty to pull from.
Oh no, bro, it's the fucking Tylenol.
Dude, look out, it's Aptium.
it's the Viagra, watch out.
Oh gosh, the Viagra.
Oh my god.
We got Ativan on the left.
Benadryl.
Benadryl. Oh, dude. So
funny stuff.
The
Funny
Endless,
stuff.
you could technically consider them as part of the Banished because they were at least helping the Banished. But we don't really know what the ends are in terms of what the Atavans want. So it really comes down to whatever it is that we see them wanting in the future. We know that it has something to do with humans' destruction because they apparently are not the ones that were supposed to take the mantle. Which, I mean, if you're gonna go in like retcon OG storyline, are we? Is this going to be like a retcon of a retcon because humans have?
I don't think. I don't know if I would put retcon. I don't know if retcon's the right word, but just like I guess move on heavily.
It's just like the whole thing of humans being, humans being the reclaimers. It's like you can't argue with that because the Forerunners just do it all the time, and the only way you can say that this is wrong is the Forerunners were wrong and also the precursors were wrong. You would have to undermine everything that was in the original Forerunner trilogy. So, did you really just Incredibles in my podcast?
I sure did, buddy. I sure did.
So, this is what?
What?
Oh, I'm kind of like I'm reading through Halopedia as I normally do while I'm talking on the show.
Okay.
Oftentimes I'm reading about stuff I'm not even talking about. I'm just I'm just exploring Halopedia. And this is fascinating actually because if this is accurate, then that would mean that the Zalilin would not be creations of the precursors. It's a very simple statement. Although incredibly little is known about their nature, the Zalilin somehow have the ability to manipulate various forces and energy types in unique ways. The most troubling ability the Zalilin have, however, is a peculiar attunement to the elements of living time itself, though to what extent remains unknown. If you remember our precursor episode, one of the standout features of the precursors was that they were capable of controlling living time. So, the equivalent or something? I would be hard pressed to call them precursors.
It was something.
I don't know. Without having any context of these creatures and never knowing anything about them aside from, one of them is just mean and poetic without making any sense, even if you break down her poems. There's nothing about that that's like whoa to me because I don't know anything about them. So I'm just kind of waiting for more to come out, be it in a novel or a game. I'll take a game though. A game would be cool.
A good one.
Whoa,
a good game.
Hold on. We don't talk about our opinions on the library. We talk about our opinions in terminals. Which you can go over
for a good game.
You can go over to terminals right now. Actually, you can go to our Patreon and you can check out the after show where we talk about multiple things, either inside or outside of the Halo community. And we don't have any particular script or ideas in mind, so we just talk about whatever. You should really hop over there. We would really love to see you specifically, Thomas. So, anyway, speaking of...
There's some random kid named Thomas watching this. It's like... Oh.
I'm keeping up this joke. I'm waiting until someone listens and I address their name. And then, we get a comment on Patreon or in one of our Spotify QAs that I always hook up. And they're just like, dude, my name is Caleb.
That's my name.
Statistically speaking.
But anyway, that is pretty much the gist of the Banished as we know right now. Their story is still being told. They're still being expanded upon. The novels are doing a fantastic job currently of expanding them without ruining them or making them overly complicated. Their story in general is rather simple, so I kind of appreciate that they're not trying to go into too many layers with it. I think you could probably argue that they went one layer too deep with Escharum being a thing, just because, like, where did he come from? Like,
where did he go?
Where did he go?
No, he's dead.
Oh. Where did he come from?
But it's like Escharum is built up to be this character that was the mentor of Atriox. But the only problem with that is, in Halo 2 or Halo Wars 2, you have the cutscene that clearly dictates how Atriox rose to power, and nothing in there was I like, yep, he needs mentoring.
Yeah.
He just rose to power and took charge. Him having Gaul's storyline from Destiny, it just doesn't check out for him. So I'm glad Escharum is dead, so then we don't have to worry about that anymore. But if Atriox brings up Escharum like he was a better version of him, I don't know.
I don't know about
I
that,
don't
bro.
think they'll go that route. I don't think that they'll try to make Escharum out to be stronger than that Atriox.
Because I'll be like, Atriox, let me level with you real quick. You are strong.
Because that would undermine. I mean, yes, but like thinking logically in the course of the Halo story, that would completely undermine a boss fight between the Master Chief and Atriox. I mean, considering like the opening scene of Halo Infinite where Chief literally just gets his lunch money taken from him, it's just like there's just no way that they try to imply that Escharum was stronger. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. Well,
would be very shocked.
Is there anything in particular that you guys wanted to know about the Banished that I might not have covered? Because we're still missing things like, what kind of tech did they have? What sort of classes did they represent?
Well, excuse me, how far were they banished?
How far were they banished?
Yes.
Like, where were they sent?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, if you want an answer,
is the name Banished what they were dubbed, or did they name themselves that?
They named themselves that because there wasn't really such a thing as banished. There's only execution.
Then with the Covenant, no banishment. You're just dead.
You're just dead. You would get locked up.
Okay.
You could get imprisoned, but the details of what happens when you're imprisoned is kind of sketchy at times because sometimes it's one thing, sometimes it's the other. The only time that you really have.
Sorry, you have been banished from life.
Basically. Because the only time that you really have any character that has a technical form of banishment, as you could probably refer to it as, is when there's a new arbiter. Just because you've effectively taken that elite and you've
that's
turned
barely
them into,
banishment. That's just a suicide mission.
It is, but you're banished from everything that you had at one point. So especially with Thel 'Vadam, Halo 2 and Halo 3's arbiter. I mean, he was a great shipmaster. Like, he commanded hundreds of ships, and in one day he lost all of it and lacked every bit of respect from all of his peers. So it's like, in a way, it's just straight, you are designed to die, and another way, it's
suicide mission.
You've been banished. But there really isn't any other example, at least not off the top of my head, that I can think of where you have the Covenant having some sort of system in place where you banish a creature to a far off world. At no point do I remember there being a Napoleon Bonaparte in the Covenant.
What a shame.
Any other inquiries, questions for me, your friendly neighborhood informational AI guy?
Is Mayonnaise a banished member?
James,
how are you doing today, James? Are we doing all right?
I think he needs to lay off the whiskey.
According to Halopedia, Mayonnaise was actually indoctrinated into the Banished roughly 25.
Isn't there like something like canonically, like after Halo 5, like Arbiter and Chief had a steak and he doesn't like relish or something stupid?
It was I don't really know what he ate. It was a barbecue. James, help me out.
Fuck, it was, oh god, this is in Shadows of Reach as well. Fuck. They had barbecue in that hut, and Arbiter, fun fact, does not like coleslaw.
That's what it was. Okay, I thought it was relish.
But who would eat relish straight up?
I mean, I'm not saying he ate it straight up, but just one reason or another, he clearly did.
Coleslaw is a side.
Coleslaw, I vibe with it. Kind of. I can go with some good coleslaw from time to time, but I can't say it's like, I will always get it every time I see it. But anyway, so aside from all that, that's pretty much the end of the Banished story for now anyway. Highly recommend, though, that you go and check out some of the more recent novels that have included their story. Shadows of Breach tells a lot of it. And then, of course, if you haven't yet, play Halo Wars 2. I mean, I get it. I get it, Steve. If you don't like, RTS games and you want to just play the first-person shooters, I get it. But here's the thing. you're
Steve
stupid,
Down's watching
and
this.
you need to
shedding a tear.
and you need to take some time to expose yourself to other experiences, especially when it comes to the Halo universe. If you really want to prove to that cute girl down the street that you know what you're doing, you gotta get up and play more Halo, and you gotta expand yourself beyond just the prime time games. You need to Reach, ODST, Spartan Runner. You got to get into those games.
Speaking of which, my Halo Wars 2 finished installing, and I watched the first cutscene. Where are the railings for that cryopod area? Literally, they're like stumbling out of their pods. Someone trips, they're gone.
It's fine.
That's a safety hazard.
It's fine.
I'm gonna sue.
Why you're not on the
them? I'm gonna sue for them
on their behalf, representing the people. It's fine. It's the Spirit of Fire. They're probably all beyond experienced. Because, man, the Spirit of Fire is awesome. I want to do an episode on Spirit of Fire. I should retroactively change one of these episodes into just the Spirit of Fire. Okay. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time that you've given over to letting us talk for an hour, and you fill in the gaps of conversation where you find a spot where you would like to say something to us. If you do, though, then you can head over to our Patreon. As I mentioned before, Terminals After Show will be coming up after this one. And on Patreon, you can message us directly. We always look at the messages, so you can feel free to hop over there, chat with us directly, and we'll hopefully see you there. So, yeah, thank you for listening.
The library was produced and published by JumperScape Audio. Funding was provided by our fantastic patrons on Patreon. If you enjoy the show and wish to support JumperScape's future projects or get some sweet benefits, join our Patreon at patreon.com/JumperScape or become part of this truly special community at discord.gg/JumperScape. Thank you for your listenership, and we hope you enjoyed.